Hi everybody, it's Danny and I am the Social Studies Educator here at Children's Museum Houston. I am coming to you from the Art Academy studio space in our Kidtropolis gallery, and I am going to be showing you all a science experiment today. So Kidtropolis is kind of a cool exhibit. We can explore a lot of different areas including math and science and art and social studies. So this science experiment actually combines science with sort of a little bit of art. Now, as you can see, I have these beautiful flowers. Oh, look how pretty, these beautiful white flowers. And in honor of Independence Day, I want to turn these flowers into not just white flowers, but red, white, and blue flowers. And in order to do that, here are the materials that you need to try the same experiment at home. You need some white flowers. These work well. We can get carnations, we can get daisies, some sort of white flower, totally up to you what you want to use. We need a couple of cups of water. Now for me, I have this cool paint cup here that has a separator in the middle, so I'm going to use this because I can keep my water on one side separate from the water on the other side. But you don't need that, just a couple of water cups or bottles, things like that. You need food coloring, and because we're making it red, white, and blue, we're gonna need red food coloring and blue food coloring to add to the white flower we already have. And then we need a cutting board and a sharp knife. And that is important, so we may need to bring an adult into this step to either supervise or to help us get this step completed. Cool? All right, be safe. So, step one, I'm gonna dye my 2 cups of water, and I'm gonna dye 1/2 red. So for this, I'm gonna take my food coloring, and you can just put a few drops in if you want, but I really wanna see how quickly I can make this turn red, so I just put a whole bunch of red food coloring drops in one side. I'm gonna take my blue and I'm gonna put it in the other side, not mixing them, because then we'd end up with purple, which would be cool as well, but I'm trying to make this red and blue stay separate. Okay, I kind of mix it around a little bit. So there we go. I've got my red on one side, my blue on the other side. The next thing I need to do is prepare my flower, and I'm actually going to be using the stem. This is very important because the job of the stem of a flower is to provide support and structure to the flower, but it also helps to pull the water up that are normally from the roots up through the stem to feed the different parts of the flower that need that water. So we have our petals and our leaves and things like that. Now I'll explain a little bit more about why this happens, but for now I just want to show you what we need to do. So first things first, this is already a cut flower. We don't have any roots. I'm going to cut a good portion of this flower off just to get any kind of dried part gone. So I'm going to cut a good 4 to 5 inches off, and I want to cut it at an angle, as much of an angle as I can, to give us as much surface area for it to absorb more water. All right, so I'm just going to see if I can hold this end up so that you can see I got a nice angle there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a slit down the middle. And it just needs to be a big enough slit that I can put one end of the stem in one of my cups and the other end of the stem in the other side of my cup or in my other cup, and make sure that both ends touch the water. So I'm gonna make a pretty long slit on this one, and I wanna be very careful with this, so I may not talk for a moment because I don't wanna mess it up. I'll still talk, who are we kidding? Let's see. All right, that looks pretty good. I might need to go one more pass to make sure I went all the way through my flower. There we go. So now I got a little slit here. And again, I'm gonna hold it up so that you can see. I can separate these 2 ends. I'm gonna make this a little bit longer because I really wanna make sure it's down in the water. Still being very, very careful. I don't wanna accidentally cut off the good work that I've done. And of course, I need to be careful with my fingers. I'll get a little teeny bit further. Actually, I think that'll be good. I don't want to have too much stem exposed to the air. I want to have as much of it in the water as possible. All right, so now I have my split. All I need to do is I'm going to put one end in one side of the water, the other end in the other side. I actually have this cool little cap. I'm going to see if it'll work with the cap. I don't know if that's going to get in the way. No, I think it works well. So I'm going to put that in. That's just going to help provide a little extra structure and support so that this guy doesn't move around too much. All right, we're leaning a little to one side, but you know what? I'm going to be okay with that. I take it back. I am going to take this cap back off. because I think I can get more of my stem in the water. There we go. And then I may just need to, I'll find a way to support it. I can even just lean it against the wall if I need. But if you look at this, I've got half of my stem in the red, I've got half of my stem in the blue. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna set my cup of dyed water and my white flowers aside for a little while. And then I'll show you what it looks like at the end of the day. All right, it's still early in the morning. We haven't opened the museum quite yet. So I'm gonna set my flowers aside and we'll see what it looks like a little bit later. All right, guys, we started this experiment at about 8:30 this morning. It is now 4:30 in the afternoon. We have visitors here in Kidtropolis right now. And that means it's been 8 hours that our flower, our white flower, remember, has been sitting with half of its stem in the red dyed water and the other half of the stem in the blue dyed water. Are you ready to see what's happened? Drum roll, please. And ta-da! I gotta bring it into a place in the light where we can see. Look at that! We've got blue flowers on one side, and we've got red flowers on the other side, and some of the flowers, if you look really closely, are even half red, half blue. Isn't that cool? All right, see, other people are like, that's cool, I wanna see what's happening. So the reason that this happens, the reason that we can actually, and I'll go ahead and take it out of my water, at least for a little bit, so I can kind of hold it up, make sure everybody can continue to see these flowers. The reason that this happens, we got a couple of different science words we're gonna throw out here. First of all, we got something called transpiration. Now what that happens is evaporating the water. We may have heard of like the water cycle with evaporation. As the water evaporates from the petals and the buds and the leaves of the flower, it actually pulls water up through the stem in a process called transpiration. And the closest analogy I can give is like if you are drinking through a straw. As you move your mouth, as you move your tongue in your mouth, it pulls water up through kind of like a suction thing through there. It's kind of the same idea. Water evaporates, transpiration makes it come up and follow. Another big science word we like to use is cohesion. The reason the water molecules follow is because water sticks together. That's the cohesion part. And then all of it traveling through these little teeny tiny tubes that we have in our stem, that is something called capillary action. That's that water moving through those teeny tiny tubes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have now created a 4th of July themed flower with red, white, and blue. Very exciting. We certainly hope you will try this at home. If you find flowers outside, like in your backyard, make sure they're flowers you're allowed to pick, or you can just get them from the store. These ones are usually pretty inexpensive flowers. To practice this on your own, and you can give the flowers to a loved one in honor of the 4th of July. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me here for some science and art experiments, and we will see you all soon. Bye.